All right, so today we're going to talk about orbital diagrams and how to do them. Orbital diagrams are another way of showing the electron configuration. It's more of a visual way of showing the electron configuration of an atom. What we have, we've talked about energy levels and then orbitals. Within each orbital, there are actually subshells that the electrons fit into. So, and a subshell can hold 2 electrons. So, for instance, in a s orbital, since it can only hold 2 electrons, there is 1 subshell. Okay? In a p orbital holds up to 6 electrons. A subshell holds 2, so there are actually 3 subshells within a p orbital. In a d orbital, there are 5 subshells because it can hold up to 10 electrons. And then in an f orbital, there are actually 7 subshells because it can hold up to 14 electrons. So, if I wanted to know draw the orbital diagram for carbon, well, first off, I'm going to write out its electron configuration. So it's electron configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. Okay. Then to draw its orbital diagram, the way you'll see a lot of different ways of writing these. The way that I like writing them and I teach is I draw a line, and under the line I put the orbital. The line will represent the subshell. So it's a 1s orbital, this is the subshell, and there's 2 electrons. So for the orbital diagrams, the electrons are represented by arrows. So I put 2 arrows on that line. So this is 1s and there's 2 electrons. The electrons, or the arrows, must be pointing in opposite directions. That's kind of what we call the Pauli exclusion principle. Basically what that represents is the spin of the electrons within that subshell. Because electrons are negatively charged, they're going to want to repel from one another. And so in order to minimize that repulsion, they actually spin in opposite directions. And so what we do to represent the opposite direction spin is we put 1 arrow up and 1 arrow down. So you should never write on a line 2 up arrows or 2 down arrows. Should always be 1 of each. So then we're going to do the next one, which would be 2s, arrow up, arrow down. So 1s2, 2s2. And then for the p, once we have more than 1 subshell, so since the p orbital has 3 subshell, I'm going to draw 3 lines. And under the middle line, I'm going to label it 2p. Okay? Now, we have 2 electrons. The way they're going to be organized is like this. One in 2 different subshells. Okay? And this goes along with Hund's rule. Hund's rule states basically there needs to be 1 electron in each subshell before we start putting 2 in any of the subshells. And this is simply to, again, minimize repulsion. Remember, if there's an open space, an electron's going to be there before it goes next to another electron. I sometimes call this the bus rule. If there's an empty seat on the bus, you're going to sit in an empty seat before you sit next to a stranger. And so that's kind of how it works. So this would be the orbital diagram for carbon. And the arrows should add up, just like the exponents added up to the atomic number, the number of arrows should add up to the atomic number, so a total of 6. Okay, so let's do another one. Let's go to potassium. So that's K. So potassium is going to be, if we do its electron configuration, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, and then 4s1. Okay, so to do its orbital diagram, we write 1s, arrow up, arrow down for the 1s2, 2s, arrow up, arrow down. For the 2s2, 2p6, we're going to do 2p, draw 3 lines for the subshells, up, 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 down, down, down. There's my 2p6. Then 3s, up, down, 3p6. Again, draw 3 lines for the 3, up, 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 down, 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 and then 4s, arrow up. Okay, and it does not matter if you draw a down arrow and then an up arrow. It doesn't really matter. I just always draw an up arrow. That's just how I've always done it. That's how I was taught. So it doesn't really, you don't really need to worry about that. Okay. If when you get to the D block, it's going to look I'm just going to show you an example. It's going to look like this. So it'd be something like 3D. You'll have 5 lines. You go up, 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 and then down, 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 down. Okay. So I hope this helps. Let me know if you have any questions.